everybody, to the Casual Laine podcast, the official podcast where I talk about whatever TV shows I want to talk about, or other things. We might talk about movies, games, books, who knows. The other channel's going to still get the live streams, but this is going to be the daily podcast, and it's going to replace the on-video ones, because I am transitioning into possibly not having videos anymore of me, because I'm trying to see if this metric is better for people, if people like it more. I might also just delete the other channel. I don't know. We will see. But we have a lot to get to today, because we are continuing to talk about Young Justice Outsiders, and the last season is my favorite. Actually, no, this season is my favorite. This season is better than Phantoms. I liked Phantoms for the child arc, but the rest of it is just boring as crap. But anyway, we actually have several parts of this episode, more than two, actually. First and foremost, Victor is taken over again by the Father Box, and this time the Father Box decides that if it can't have Victor's brain, it's just going to turn him into a cyborg. So Dr. Jace, or somebody, calls in his father, and of course Victor is immediately hostile to his father. I would be hostile to his father. His father is the reason he's in this predicament to begin with, and he's lashing out, he's freaking out. But for some reason, he just decides to trust his father, because his father convinces him, I'm here because I love you and I want to help you. Granted, I would have told him to go screw himself, but that's just me. So, I believe it's Superboy, Fred, and somebody... Oh, and Jefferson, aka Black Lightning, go to... Apocalypse, I think it is. I get all the locations mixed up. But they go to chase down Metron, because Metron is the only one who can fix Victor, because his chair has the ability to, nullify the Father Box or cleanse it. And they basically end up convincing him to come back, and they literally throw him out of the chair. Like, I'm surprised that worked. I'm surprised he didn't fight more. Surprised the chair didn't, move out of the way or react to them. But no, they throw him out of the chair, they fix him, and on the way out, Black Lightning is like, hey, is our Gretchen the same as your Granny Good? And he kind of alludes to the fact that she is, yes and no. I suspect it's because the Gretchen they know is a projection of some kind, and the Granny that they have is not the same person, but she's casting herself into the real world somehow. Because if you remember, Clarion can do that. He can cast himself, and take a physical form in the real world. But he's still stuck in the tower, so we're not going to deal with that until season 4. But I think that's what Metron meant. So, meanwhile, Violet, is upset with the fact that they had to tell Tara and Brienne about what they did, or what Gabrielle did, because keep in mind, Violet and Gabrielle are not the same person. And they decide to run away back to Gabrielle's parents. And I tell you, when this scene made me freaking cry like a baby, because Violet admits to Gabrielle's parents that they are not technically Gabrielle. They explain the situation, and Gabrielle's father, of course, is pissed, because obviously his child is dead, but Gabrielle's mother is like, up until this point, I didn't know what happened to my kid. My kid was missing. We didn't know where she was. She could be alive. She could be dead. We had no idea. But now, at least we have some form of closure. I don't know, what you are, and I know you're not my kid, but, you're here, and you're safe, and that's, that's enough for me. And it made me cry. It was so beautiful and touching. Oh my God. This show can be so good. Speaking of good, my favorite part of this episode is actually the conversation between Harper Row and McGann, because McGann basically is like, so I noticed you have bruises all over you, and I immediately was like, oh my god, I know where this is going. And of course, I knew that Harper denies it. She's like, no, me and my brother were fighting. I watched Steve Wilkos for 20 years. I know how this works. They deny it. They say, oh, I was roughhousing with my brother. I tripped on something. I ran into a door. But we all know what that actually means. And McGann basically, I forget how it comes up, but something about Harper's mother removing the firearms from the house because her father is an alcoholic, and McGann is like, that seems like a good idea because, an alcoholic with firearms is a bad idea. And she basically is like, look, you were the shield protecting your brother right now because I noticed that you have bruises all over you, but your brother doesn't. Your brother, I thought initially this was going to be that her brother was the one abusing her, that they were going to reveal that Colin was the one beating her up. But no, it's just that she's been protecting him, and if she goes to prison, then nobody's going to be there for him. It's so touching, and I think it gets Harper to realize that she needs help and that she needs someone to step in because she doesn't want to admit it, because she knows the minute they admit it, that means that they're going to have to intervene. But what she doesn't understand is that even if McGann suspects abuse, it doesn't matter if she actually says, my father is abusing me. If she even suspects it, she has to say something. I'm surprised McGann doesn't point that out to her, because that's how mandated reporter works. Frankly, that's how I think anybody should work. If you know or suspect that a child is being abused, fucking say something. It doesn't matter, if you're wrong, they'll let it go, and that'll be the end of it. But if you're right, you just saved a child's life. And it's so touching to me, especially considering that, my abuse is not physical. It is verbal, not to the level where I've called it out, but it's there, and it's been really hard for me, but I'm glad the show acknowledges it, and I'm glad the show treats it with the respect that it deserves, because a lot of shows would just gloss right over it, or would do that thing Family Guy did where they just kill him, which I think he deserves, but that doesn't solve the problem. That doesn't address, the actual issue. But anyway, I'm sorry, I gotta move on, because that's just gonna make me cry so hard. It's so beautiful. Is there anything else? Harper conversation, Victor getting cleansed of the father box, Violet, going home to their Gabrielle's family. This is one of the best episodes of this show, honestly. It's so touching, and they handle it with such grace and gravitas. And it makes, again, what comes at the end just so much harder hitting when you think about it. Because also there's a conversation between Dr. Jace and Brion, where Dr. Jace tells Brion that his parents would have been so proud of him, and that he and his sister have done such great work, and that is why the ending just breaks my heart into a million pieces. But we will get to that when we get to that, because we have a few episodes left. Anyway, that is it for today, and I will see y'all tomorrow.